out because I didn't really write it on purpose. Like I didn't in 2006. I didn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna write a book and I'm gonna call it Paradise Health." It didn't happen that way. It really happened just organically. I was at the time I started. The name of my business at the time was Mojo Juice Club, and what we would do, what I did here in Washington D.C. was basically organize groups of people so we could collectively do a group fast. And then I would make the food, and I would obviously make the juices, and so I designed this whole program, and that was really the genesis of this book, which started as a group community fast program, and from the Mojo Juice Club to my newsletter, I would basically write, and it just started as a guide because I had an audience that extended among this local DC, Maryland, Virginia, and they wanted to follow along. So I started to basically document the process, the recipes, and the philosophy. And so the book is mainly about the philosophy, but one of the things that I learned from the time that I started this lifestyle, so it's been like 20 years now. This year, end of this year, be 20 years. All raw food, plant-based foods. And 10 years before that, I started doing veganism, vegetarian veganism. 10 years before that. So it's been a 30-year journey for me, just about health, nutrition, fasting, detox. Obviously, in the last 20 years, I took it to another level. And really, this step right here, with the addition of the coconut and the coconut water, took my raw food game from here to can't even see on the camera, can't see. Like that's where, and so this was such a monumental paradigm leap that when you asked me what I should talk about, obviously it was pretty simple for me to come to the conclusion like I got to talk about this because just right off the bat, coconut water. I say coconuts are the number one food for human consumption on the planet. Now, coconuts don't grow all over the world. They grow along the tropical belt all over the world in a circumference of the planet. But like even here, they don't grow here, but it's not too far. Where mostly I get my coconuts from Florida. But yes, the coconut water took my diet, took my life, everything to a whole nother level. And there are three things that I really want to highlight that you probably do not know about coconuts specifically. Because so really, let me just give an overview of what I want to accomplish today. First, I want to talk about the coconut and talking about the coconut water. Talk about my book, Paradise Health, and then I want to show you. I want to demonstrate. I had a container, this like a bread.
I can go and grab you something.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about my book, The Paradise Health Philosophy. I'm going to do a short demo on how I utilize a coconut, how to open a coconut, and then maybe do like a simple recipe or two using both the coconut water and the coconut meat inside of the coconut. Okay, so should I take any? Well, I guess we'll if there's any questions, just jot them down. We'll just move through the program for today. So the first thing, let's just so I got some coconuts here, and one of the things about our coconut water, and I talk about this in my book, is really we gotta talk about water first, because I really want y'all to get a full understanding of water and how it's different and how it's not different from coconut water. Coconut water there's no other food that really is in the same class as coconuts. I mean, we could consider it a fruit, we could consider it a nut. There's another term that I think they designate coconut, I can't think of right now. But basically, it just has like this, it's like in a class by itself. And the thing with the coconut, or if we just really, let's back up to water. Now we know how fundamental water is to life, life on the planet. The planet is covered with mostly water, and water is essentially what we're mostly made of. So water is life. So when we think about water, and the question now becomes, what is the ideal drinking water? What is that water? Should it be spring water? Should it be distilled water? Should it be, a lot of people talking about alkaline water? And they have other, reverse osmosis and all kinds of different water. And there's a chapter in my book I talk about called The Business of Water. Because water has become really probably the most precious commodity. Fresh water, fresh drinking water. You could do research on that. I've heard some different things, some things that are potentially alarming as far as our fresh drinking water supply. So I highlight that because obviously is drinking water is just so fundamental to everything. We wouldn't have any food without water. The water has to, all of our plant, especially our plant food, or even if you're into eating non-plant based foods, those things are fed water. So water is everything. It's the foundation. It's the source. And the thing is like, so I go back to the question: what is the ideal drink of water? Now, if we looked at spring water, let's look at spring water first. Spring water is water that is, I guess you could say, natural. It definitely comes from nature. But the thing about spring water is that it has hard inorganic minerals. That's the thing, that's the main aspect to spring water. The fact that it falls, we have rainwater, which falls from the atmosphere, from the clouds, and it becomes spring water once it touches the earth, and it starts to navigate amongst the rocks and the soil, the river, the stream, and it collects these minerals in a form that our body can't use. So spring water is what we can call a hard water. Hard referencing the inorganic minerals that our body can't process. So spring water, just from that, now we can drink spring water. Obviously, it'll hydrate us on a certain level. It'll flush our kidneys, but it's not the ideal drinking water. Then we go to, so I mentioned, and before water becomes spring water, it is rainwater. Now, rainwater is probably the most ideal drinking water. Rainwater. Now, in a lot of communities where there's no running water, especially tropical where it rains quite often, rainwater is used for just about everything. And rainwater is delicious. Rainwater tastes way better than spring water. It is a soft water. It is a distilled water. It's an oxygenated water because the rainwater is passing through the ozone. So rainwater has a lot of qualities, a lot of great qualities for an ideal drinking water. What's another water? And then the other waters I could probably group in another category, in the same category as far as reverse osmosis. All of these designer waters that are like created by like machines that are like trying to change or filter or process. It's all a process that these waters go under, or the water goes under in order to make it an ideal drinking water. And again, like spring water, you will get some benefit from drinking these waters. Obviously, they'll hydrate and they'll flush, but is it ideal? And then that really brings us to the coconut water, because coconut water, some can say, well, that's like drinking fresh juice, and you would be correct. Like if I juice an orange or a watermelon or anything that has a high moisture, you talking now, you have organic versus inorganic, minerals, vitamins, fresh antioxidant nutrition in a juice water form from that plant. So if I'm drinking watermelon juice, I'm really drinking water from the watermelon plant. Or if I'm drinking cucumber juice, I'm really drinking water via the cucumber. Okay, so I think, this term juice can even sometimes even give it a negative connotation, as if to say juice meaning like we still need water, or we need water from out of a bottle, because again, bottled water is a business, and in my book I call it the business of water. So this really brings up a lot of questions in terms of like, should we be even drinking bottled water? I would definitely say no. Bottled water is a processed water. It's not a living water. It is inert. While it will benefit, it's not going to harm you per se. If you drink too much of it, it can definitely create some kind of imbalance. But basically, you'll just urinate it right out. But it's not really nourishing you. And that's where the coconut water comes in, because as I mentioned, like water from watermelon or water from cucumber or any other like fruit or vegetable, the coconut water is really a water and a food at the same time. Unlike like watermelon or what's the other one I mentioned, cucumber or any fruit or vegetable, coconut water is a water without the process. I mean, for watermelon juice, I gotta juice it, or if I take a pineapple, I gotta extract the juice or the water from that through a juicer or a blender or some type of process. Where the coconut water as a whole food is a water. There's no other food that has, or another food or water that can make those claims. So the coconut water, again, as I mentioned before, when this came into my life, I mentioned how it just took my level of health to a whole nother level. Such to the point where since that time, in around 2004, this has really been primarily my only drinking water. As I said, coconut water can basically not only hydrate us but nourish us, because it's a whole food. I talk about also, to reference my book once again, one of the things when back in that time, there was so much talk about the master cleanse. And the master cleanse being, some of you may know about it or have done it, but the master cleanse is basically, it's a lemonade fast, where you take water just from, it doesn't specify, it could be spring water or whatever, tap water even, and you add like fresh lemon, maple syrup, cayenne pepper. I believe that's the recipe. And just looking at that logically, it's almost like I feel like they're trying to mimic something like coconut water, because coconut water is just whole, it's complete. When you start to drink it, it's like you feel like you've eaten and drink at the same time, because you have. It's really you really get the best of both worlds. And I'm still going to talk about those three most interesting things about the coconut water. All right, so I'm just reminding myself to definitely tell you that. And but as far as the coconut, from my experience, I started drinking coconut water as my only water in 2004, and I found that it was actually kind of difficult for me to go back to drinking my spring water or even my distilled water. Because one of the things I did not mention that is very important, what I've learned, is that your water should be in a distilled form when you drink it. All water I mentioned, like from plants, including the coconut, watermelon, whatever you juice is in a distilled form. And when I say distilled, basically it's in a soft form, it's in a usable form. So when it's hard, like spring water, again, our body has to sort of become a filter for those minerals that our body can't use. So it's really an inefficient way to hydrate ourselves. Where coconut water becomes the most efficient way, because now I could drink coconut water and feel like I've eaten. So I'm drinking a whole food water that's giving me the best nutrition in the best form. Water. We're made of water. So it's so like I said, it's been 16 years approximately where I've only had coconut water. I mean, there's been limited, probably a handful of time where I'm drinking other things. I always like to mention when I was in Jamaica, I was in the caves where they had basically water was literally coming out of the earth, like literally, like it's not like, I mean, I can't even call it a spring. It's like a natural well. And where I was, this was like outside of Negril, maybe an hour or two outside. I don't remember the town, but basically they went to the bottom of this well, this natural well, and there was no bottom. They went 200 feet down, and to see that there was still more to go. So literally this water, I mean, like the miracle of nature, and how the earth can just give us what we need in the way that we need it, in a divine way. So literally this water is like coming out of the earth, and it's fresh water. I drunk that water. I always like to say, very fresh, very, very just fresh, and just I mean, unlike anything you could ever get in a bottle or anything else. So those obviously in those times, I'll take the opportunity to say, yo, this is better than good. But other than that, when I'm here, it's primarily just coconut water. Now, a question you could ask is like, well, how much water should you drink in a day? Well, I mean, that all depends, because a lot of people may drink probably upwards to a gallon of water a day. And I could say, like, you could drink your gallon or your half gallon and still be dehydrated. Because one of the things, and this really goes back to food, in terms of how we not only drink but eat, but really in terms of really hydrating the body, it's like we can't just eat a bunch of dry food, whether it's dry starch, heavy protein that doesn't have any moisture, and then drink a bunch of water and expect to be hydrated. You know, we really, if we want really paradise health, ideal, you know, this body to work in an efficient way, it becomes critical to eat our water. So we got to eat foods that have water. It sounds fundamental, and it is. It's that important. And you know, as far as the coconut is the best of that. You know, because it is a water. Now, what are the three things that I kept mentioning? The three very interesting facts about coconut water that you probably have not heard, or maybe you've heard, but you're probably just not aware of. The three most interesting facts that I find about coconut water. First of all, coconut water is probably the most electric food on the planet. Now, what does that mean, electric? I mean, you know, these devices are powered by electricity. Where our bodies are electrical in terms of like electrons and protons and how, you know, we have obviously electricity in the air. I mean, electricity is just a part of everything since the beginning of time. But coconut water is the most electric food. Now, what does that mean? Now, when we look at electric, when we say electric, we really should say electron. You know, things can be electric whether they be positively charged or negatively charged. But coconut water is a negatively charged food, meaning that it has the potassium as its primary mineral. And that potassium, if we look at it on the periodic table, it has a extra electron. Now, why is that important? Well, when we have inflammation and disease, we have sicknesses and things of that nature, free radicals, these are all positively charged energy that's in our body, or positively charged particles. When we have negatively charged energy, whether it's through the food, or the main way to get the negative charge is to connect with the earth. So when we touch the earth, like actually touch the earth, like physically, skin on skin, there's an electron transfer between the earth. The earth has an abundance, an infinite supply of electrons. Those electrons go through us and neutralize free radicals, inflammation, sickness and disease. And coconut water has this ability as well because it has that potassium. And when we study potassium, potassium is that mineral that, number one, washes and relaxes the heart. In the Caribbean they say coconut water washed the heart. And again, they didn't have any scientific study. They didn't have any kind of lab report or any kind of like empirical evidence. They had their own intuitive, ancestral, natural intelligence from nature to know that coconut water is the best food for the heart. And ironically enough, probably one of the leading killers is heart disease. In our so-called modern Western world is heart disease. But yet the coconut water, a potassium powerhouse, negatively charged, electric food that, again, a water and a food. So when we talk about ideal drinking water, again, this makes a indisputable, solid case for the coconut water as your only drinking water. This factoid number 2, the coconut water there's a hormone. It's called cytokinin. I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. But that hormone is probably the strongest hormone for anti-aging. Okay? So we're drinking coconut water. It's basically allowing us to age. We're going to still age whether we live on coconut water. We're going to age, but we're going to age gracefully. Why? Because it's not only relaxing the heart, washing out the internal organs, creating this beautiful balance in the body, but it's also providing elasticity of the joints, of the skin, and really just nourishing us on the deepest level. So look into that. And then last but not least, and this is my favorite aspect of the coconut water. Now there's a term. It's called endosperm. What is endosperm? Well, the endosperm of a plant is usually the seed. And the seed of a plant, we think about a seed of anything, the seed is the genesis. The seed is the beginning. But nutritionally, it's going to be the most dense, the most nutritious part of that plant is the seed. And we call that the endosperm. Guess what part of the coconut palm is the endosperm of the coconut palm? The coconut water. Coconut water is seed water. It's both a seed, so it's not just a food. It has the quality that is so dense nutritionally, but at the same time, it is a water. So, seed water, coconut water, the endosperm, the most nutritious aspect of the coconut palm, the coconut water. Because basically, I would have to be in the tropics, but I could, if I was in the tropics, I could basically let this sit out, just like this. And I think it takes about 2 years. But I don't open it because that water is it's the endosperm. So if I don't open it, a palm will shoot out right out of the side. And then that's a new coconut plant or a new coconut tree. So when I was in Panama, I was along the coast, and there were like hundreds of coconut trees right along and it was salt water. It was like right outside of not far from you got in Panama you have the canal, and not far from the locks where you cross the canal. And so it was really bush. It was really undeveloped, just pure natural nature at its, probably since the beginning of time. So one of these untouched by modern civilization areas in Panama, and you had all these coconut trees growing along the salt water. And in my opinion, or at least my preference, is to have the coconuts that grow along the salt water, because what it's doing is taking salt water, is pulling that salt water from the earth into the palm, distilling it into a perfect water, and you can taste that salt in the water. It is fantastic, and those were actually the best coconuts I probably have ever had. I've had coconuts from all over the world, but I could taste the salt and the sweet. It was just amazing. And you would basically have, because you had basically this lush, rich land, you would have coconuts fall off the tree, sit there, and literally sprout and grow right next to the tree that it came from. So you had all these trees just again giving us the perfect water, just in abundance. So this is by far the best drinking water. It may not be the best drinking water for you, but definitely the best drinking water for me. But I feel like it's definitely the best drinking water for all human beings. So let's move to the next step. I don't know if it's maybe a time that, do we pause and take questions, or should I just keep rolling?
Yeah, however you want to do it, bro.
Okay, well, this would be a time for me to take a pause. If anybody has any questions, if not, I'll just keep moving. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, just chime in. I'm gonna go into the next phase. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover in terms of the.
I got one question.
Huh?
I have one question. Can you hear me okay, Khepra?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if this is a myth regarding coconut water, but I heard that during World War II, there was like people have like they needed blood, like transfusions. They used some kind of blend with coconuts for
Right,
like
right. Oh yeah,
yeah,
That's like that's definitely legend in coconut for the coconut water.
yeah.
I
I heard
mean,
that legend.
I think we've all heard that. Yeah, I believe it was in Vietnam,
Yeah,
where they use coconut water as you know, they put them in the IVs. Uh, yes, yes. And the thing is like coconut water is almost identical to our blood plasma. Okay, it's like one molecule off. Um, where and what's because the blood is made of the hemoglobin and the blood plasma. So coconut water being almost identical to blood plasma, hemoglobin is almost identical to chlorophyll. So one of my recipes, I'm not going to demonstrate that recipe today, but one of my recipes is really using green juice or chlorophyll juice and bringing it and combining it with coconut water. So therefore, like if you're into drinking like wheatgrass or any type of anything green, you really should ideally bring coconut water with that. And it's almost like giving yourself a transfusion because that's what blood is made of. It's made of hemoglobin and blood plasma. So we got the plasma part right here. We just need, if we bring that hemoglobin in or a chlorophyll. So that's another interesting fact along with that. Every time somebody mentions that, that's what I think of. But no, that's a great, another great point. All right, that's my blender. Okay, all right. Let's actually get into the coconut itself, like literally. Now, I'm gonna just say this real easy. Can you give me a butter knife? How do we get into a? Let's say you wanna get into your coconut, because a lot of people ask me. Well, one before I go there. How much coconut water should you drink? Let's say you want to just go Rambo with it like I do, right? And say, look, I want to be like Khepra. I want to drink just coconut water, you know? And so how much should I drink? Well, how much do I drink in a day? I will drink approximately about 32 ounces of coconut water. So that's about I believe this container is about, that might be a little less than 32 ounces. So I'll drink at least this amount of just fresh coconut water. So the thing, what you might be saying is like, that's not a whole lot. You know, I'm used to drinking a gallon of water a day, or at least a half gallon. But again, a lot of the other foods that I'm eating have water. So I'm getting and then I'm also drinking other juices. But at minimum, now I may drink up to 64 ounces, which is a half gallon, but I won't go really beyond that. It's really just not necessary. Unless I'm doing a coconut water fast, which I haven't talked about. But the coconut, in terms of like how, if you're drinking, if you're drinking and eating, and you just want coconut water as your water, I would say at least 32 ounces. It would be more than enough. If you're doing a coconut water fast, which by the way I haven't even touched on fasting, is the ideal fast. I don't recommend. Just really, I need to touch on fasting just very quickly. Fasting It is different. There's all different. And,
Oh, it's
Let's
the
stop.
internet or something.
oh, okay, it's reconnected.
Do you want me to say it?
No, you okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah, my thing had to reconnect. Okay, all right. So as far as a fast, there's different types of fasts. The ultimate fast is the breath fast, no food, no water. Then there's water, and I talked about the different waters. I talked about spring water, distilled water, rainwater, and then obviously, a lot of people like to fast with fresh juices. But then there's coconut water, which really is the ideal, better than juice, better than water, better than breath, in my opinion. Because again, you're getting juice, you got to process. Water, unless you are doing rainwater or really rainwater. Again, these things are not going to be more than ideal. Because again, remember, with the coconuts, we're talking about high level potassium, high level electricity, and that's what we want. We want to eat electric food that is going to heal, food that is going to assist in the healing. Now the body is the self healer, but when we use coconut as our only drinking water is phenomenal. Like I said, I haven't drank bottled water in I don't know how long, more than 15 years. So now opening the coconut water, or opening the coconuts to get the coconut water. Now it depends on a few things. One, I'm gonna grab a few coconuts. Okay, these are nice fat. These are the best when they're nice and round like that. That's that, and it's heavy. Like people say, okay, how do you pick a coconut? And this is probably the cream of the crop. Nice and round. Versus this one, you see the difference. It's a different shape. So this one is more mature than this one. So the meat, this is going to have harder meat. It's going to have a harder, thicker jelly inside versus this one. Like usually when they're round like this, the jelly may be soft because this has more water. I mean, if you were to like hold this up, you feel the weight. And that's the first thing you want to do when you're trying to pick a coconut is like feel it like in your hand, like this thing, it feels like heavy. Versus when they feel light, I mean this one feels dense too. But you can see how as it starts to mature, it starts to elongate, like it starts to get less round. And then the shell becomes harder, like because the coconut, and these are all considered young coconut versus the mature brown one, because ultimately, if this was to stay on the tree long enough, the skin would start to shed, and then you get the hard brown coconut, which again is used for a different purpose. But we want the young green coconut, and sometimes they could be orange, they could be yellow. It could even be brown, but not like the brown, like the mature brown. It'd be like kind of like a burnt orange brown. So I've seen all those different colors. They all the same in terms of the water inside. It's just again different hues and different variations, but really the same thing. And what's interesting about this is because now the harder they get, you're gonna need. Like basically, the harder it's going to be to open. Like when a coconut is 100% like young, like just sprout on the tree, it has no jelly, no meat. It's 100% water. The shell there's almost no shell. Well, there is a shell, but there's no inner shell that you have to pop or crack. You get there like I've had some as soft where I've been able to open with my own hand, where I could literally like take my thumb and pluck and puncture it, and it's just pure water. And the water, the water tastes almost like water. There's very little flavor, very little sweetness. Again, as it matures, then it takes on. It starts to increase the sugar, the sweetness of it increases, the mineral content increases. But if you're drinking coconut water in the morning and you're in the tropics, I would say go for that young coconut. And that be the first thing that hits your digestive tract. Now, in terms of like what you'll see a lot of times, especially if you go to tropical countries, is a lot of times they'll have a tool, and the tool will have like a kind of a sharp edge, and they'll have like a handle, and you can kind of stab it. So basically, right here is that eye of the coconut, and there's a soft spot there. So you basically would take it, and I don't have one of those tools. I don't use it primarily because I like using a machete, which I'll show you in a second, how to open this using a machete. But with the tool, you open it and you basically could drink it. But you still need to, if you want to access the meat, you still need to use a machete to get it open. So, I mean, this could inspire you to, go get a machete and start to practice. Machete is a tool that definitely connects with our ancestors and working in the fields, and it's something that is definitely very near and dear to me. Anytime when I'm in a part of the world where because like this machete, I've never seen one like here, at least not here in DC for sale. Now I've gotten some big knives, but nothing like this. And the main thing about this is it's really the weight, because the way I'll open it, I'm going to use the weight. I'm going to allow the machete do the work versus me trying to hack it open. I will do it, but then obviously I've opened probably, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of these things over the years, and I'll make it look easy, but again, with a little practice, you'll be able to you'll be able to open it. Now, let's say, okay, you don't want to open it that way. Now, I'm going to try to open this without the machete, and I'll show you. So what I want to do is I want to cut, because right here is, again, the soft spot. But these are not soft like where I could take my thumb and, no, it's not that soft. But I'm going to try to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down. And if you see here, I'm going to put this close to the camera. That's that soft spot. Right there. So I'm going to see if I can get this open using a butter knife. And so basically, this is how the tool, oh, there you go, right there. I don't know if y'all saw that or heard that pop. So what I've done is I've broken the pressure. Because one of the things you don't want to do, you go into the market, you're trying to pick a coconut, is go like this. Like, if you go like this, you should not hear anything. Because you want it to be, you want that pressure to be there. You want it to because if you hear something, that means that there's air inside, and that there's a crack somewhere and air got in, and now you hear the water. See, I don't hear anything, so that's good. So I've broken the seal. Now I wouldn't be able to do this with this one. So again, you want to get those nice soft ones. I think I have a video on my YouTube channel. I talk about, I show how to open up a coconut using a butter knife. So I'm just circling around this hole. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna take my picture here. Got my strainer. Moving forward. All right, you got liquid gold. All right, so everybody can do that, but again, you gotta pick the nice, soft, like voluptuous coconuts. You know, these are the breasts of the plant world, giving us that perfect water, nourishing us as you know a mama's breast nourishes a child. So that's how we have to see this. Now I'm gonna chop it open to see if there's any meat. So as I said, I'm gonna show y'all real quick. You see that it's almost transparent. You got a little white there. So I love this because what I like to do is I like to sprinkle a little sea salt. Yes, a little sea salt, and it is like the best thing ever. Okay.
So it's just normal. One thing that tells me is just looking at the shape, I can look at it and a young coconut. This can be young before young coconut. What does that mean? Well, we see the brown coconuts, that's a mature coconut. That's coconut there you go, Khepra.
Wow, that's real slick. Yeah, I like that.
I'm trying to find your alter ego on the book of faces. So right now, we're gonna stop sharing this white.
Okay.
So I just want to show you.
Wow.
Again, can you hear me, Khepra?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We got you.
Yeah, I had to turn off my my Wi-Fi. I think this will work better. Let me see. Okay, great. All right. All right. So I'm gonna open up a few of these. Now, one of the things I want to share. I had the opportunity to visit Brazil. I was at Angoleto, Capoeirista, Capoeira Angola, for a training practice and plays for a number of years, and I had the opportunity to go to Brazil, and obviously going to Salvador, where pretty much on the equator, coconut heaven. One of the things I seen was like how they open coconuts, and I believe like the the coconut gods brought me to Brazil to see that, because this is how I've opened up coconuts for, I don't know, for all these years. It's definitely very effective and very efficient. But again, it takes some practice. It took me a little bit of time to get it. But essentially, as we opened up the coconut using that soft spot, right, with the butter knife. And we could really only do that with, again, the softer coconuts. When we got the harder coconuts, this one's a little harder. We actually, if we're going to use a machete, we're going to open it up from the other side. So in the Caribbean, what they'll do is basically shave it. So it's like you're going to actually hit it at angles, and basically almost like take the skin off. So if I did that, I just go around rotating it. So I'm sure y'all have seen that. And keep going till you get to the shell. Oh, I don't know if you saw that. Again, it popped. That's a good sign. Alright, there we go. So the meat, you can see right there, the meat is a little thicker than the last one. And the water, this water is going to be a little sweeter than the last one too. Take it. Alright. Nice. The best ever. This food of the God right there. Alright, so that's the first way I learned how to open up a coconut. As you can see, no problem with that. But then in Brazil, man, it was like pop, pop, pop. That's it. So you see the meat there in the water.
That's the most grueling thing I've ever seen with a machete, y'all. Really good with that machete.
Yeah. So a little thicker. So we went from thinner to thick to thickest, or thicker. Thin, thick, and thicker. All right. And one of the things about coconuts, and I've endured this all these years I've been drinking them, is that, again, this is not this is high maintenance. I mean, these coconuts are bulky. You can see it. I'm like, swinging at my wrist. But I'm very comfortable, and obviously definitely have no fear. But even these shells, they get heavy, they get bulky. If they sour, or if they again, and they're not cheap. So, but again, think about all that you're getting for that sacrifice, or those sacrifices that you would have to make in order to drink nature's best water for the human body. One of the other things, I wanted to mention, because, we're drinking the coconut water and, just allowing it to become like the foundation, this at the heart of everything. Because, I use this not only, the meat, that's a big time. This is probably the best, definitely the best source of fat. We talk about fat. I always say sugar, fat, salt. These things are not bad for us, but it's all about the form. This is fat right here. This is oil. Oils are the essence. We talked about water, but everything in terms of we start talking about density. We need to talk about oil and how we need to eat healthy oils. It's so critical. If we eat, oils will either bless us or kill us. There's no in between. If you're eating foods that have obviously been, fried, or I say boiled in oil, or just bad oils. When you go to almost any restaurant, they're using the cheapest oil they can find. I've been in the restaurant game for a long time. And even the quote-unquote healthy restaurants, they're using cheap fried canola. They're basically using basically a form of plastic. Plastic is actually just a form of, it's an oil. And when you're drinking or you're eating things that have been, cooked in soy, vegetable, they like to call it vegetable, because vegetable sounds healthy, but it's anything but healthy. These soy canola oil blends, soy, canola, and corn, and it could be probably some mixture of the three. These things are basically, this is what's causing heart disease. This is what's creating all of the health issues that we have, because we're eating terrible oil that can't process in the body. But if we're eating living, extra virgin coconut oil, avocado, olive, these are some of the best oils that are really just divine. We really need to understand that. So these, and this meat is like the best, because coconut has what we call lauric acid, and lauric acid is found in breast milk, and so that's a hormone that allows a baby to grow. And probably the most abundant food other than breast milk is coconut and coconut oil. So again, when I said it was the breast, I'm really speaking literally. It's really that fundamental, and it really should be a part of everyone's regimen. Now, let's say, okay, you're in a part of the world where coconuts don't grow. You got some birds over here eyeing my coconut meat. They know what's up. They know what's up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna throw one to them. Do that. See, we gotta pay attention and connect with nature and what's natural around us. Throw that for them. Let's say you're in a part of the world coconuts don't grow, and you say, okay, what's the best commercial coconut water? The best commercial coconut water will probably be the Harmless Harvest. You can find that in most health food stores. What makes that the best? Well, it's not been pasteurized. It has been pressurized, which is like a form. It's like a different form of pasteurization without cooking. So it allows it to have a refrigerated shelf life. I think up to like 2 months in the refrigerator when it goes through the high pressurization process. It's a technology they did for the astronauts who were like going into space for long periods of time, and they wanted, for them to have fresh food, so they put it under this pressurization process. So a lot of juice companies that, like, if you go to your health food store and you see it's called HPP, high pressure something, and I mean, it doesn't taste exactly fresh, but it's not tasting pasteurized either. It's almost like I guess it's a compromise. So the Harmless Harvest would be your best bet. One thing I don't like about the Harmless Harvest is that it's sourced in Thailand, and two things potentially wrong with that. One, a lot of the coconuts that have been commercially grown in Thailand have been hybridized. The water tastes a little extra sweet for me. Again, like I said, I've had coconuts all over the planet. The water and what they've done, I mean, we've all seen the Thai coconuts where they've shaven them and they've wrapped them in the plastic. Again, those are commercial coconuts that have been hybridized to be sweeter than what you've seen here. Like, those coconuts taste way sweeter, and it's not a good sweet. It's just like the seedless watermelon tastes sweeter than the seeded watermelon, but we know that the seeded watermelon tastes better. So sweeter is definitely not always better. And when they make a food sweeter through the hybridization process, it's at a loss of minerals, which is why it tastes sweeter. So that's the only thing I would say that is wrong with the Harmless Harvest, is that the water tastes a little extra sweet. So what I do when I can't get these is I'll put a little lime juice in there, and I'll put some powder, maybe a teaspoon of powdered turmeric. And I just like that combination, especially with, like, if I'm drinking that particular brand of coconut water. The other ones are okay. Again, they don't taste as good because even with the Harmless Harvest, you could taste a little freshness. But with the other ones that are in the carton, they've been pasteurized. So it's not going to taste as good as, definitely not the fresh. It's not going to taste as good as the Harmless Harvest. But you could use it in, making salads, soups, dressings. You can use it for your smoothies. That's what I would say, do that. So therefore, you're still getting the coconut water. You're still getting that potassium. Yes, albeit not better than what we have here, but not bad nonetheless. We got to do the best we can in the environment we live in. It's still going to benefit you and benefit you versus, better than, just drinking plain water or tap water or even bottled water. These things have their drawbacks. And again, as I explained earlier in the presentation, less than ideal. So that would be like, I'm sure, I get that question a lot. Now, I guess very quickly, I'm gonna make a smoothie using basically what you've seen here. So I got my blender here, and I'm just gonna scoop out my meat. I already have meat right here. Now, one of the things you got to be careful though when you're scooping this out is, like, these shells can be hard and they form hard pieces. So you want to be, cognizant of that. But I try to go around and get it out in one scoop. So this is gonna be my dinner, y'all. Actually, every Sunday, And I've been doing this for more than probably 15 years. Sunday is like my fast day. I don't eat any of, if you're familiar with my cuisine, I do a lot of salads, different kind of salads and entree dishes, all raw, all vegan. So I take a break at least 1 day a week. Sometimes I do maybe up to 3 days a week, and not usually in a row. So maybe I might not eat on Monday or Wednesday, but definitely always Sunday. That's been my practice for more than a decade, and my body has gotten acclimated with that rhythm. Let that there's a fire truck going past. So on Sunday, I have no appetite. Like if I ate, I wouldn't enjoy the food, because my body has now become, I've basically, I guess, trained it to say, like, okay, Sunday, it's just like at night, you feel tired, you want to go to sleep. On Sunday, it's like just a wonderful day of rest. Yes, I'm working and I'm active, I'm doing this class, but I'm not hungry. Yes, maybe I'm feeling a little bit thirsty. I could definitely have one of these coconuts right now. But just showing what you could do with this. Shell there. Yeah. So actually, I'm going to use all of this meat and maybe make a cream or even a pudding. I mean, there's so much you could do. I'm just really, going on the fly here and seeing what we can create here. So using the best water and the best fat, bringing these elements together. Got a piece of shell in here. So it's interesting, years I've had my, those of you who don't know, I have Khepra's raw food juice bar. So we do raw food, we do fresh juices, juice cleanses. And what's interesting is as I'm doing this, my thought is, again, as I said, there's nothing convenient about this. There's nothing sexy about it. There's nothing, again, we live in a convenient, our culture is all about convenience. And, this is definitely, a labor of love, a love for oneself, for one's body, loving that self, wanting to do the best that we can for our body temple. And what's interesting is when I think about like the duties at my shop, where if I had to break it up into 3 categories, we make raw food, which is not easy. A lot of prep. We're making everything from scratch. All of our sauces, condiments, dressings, all of the salads. So there's definitely, and then in addition to that, things are not done quickly. We're sprouting, soaking, dehydrating. I mean, obviously it's an art and it's a practice with it. Then, we make juices. So again, there's prep, there's a lot of energy involved with making juices. Because we're not just putting juice in a juicer and just plumbing it through. If I was doing a juice workshop, I'd show you how we make our juices, but it's hard work. And the hardest work is this right here, the coconut. Opening these coconuts, taking this meat out, filtering the water. This is truly if there are all the tasks like at my shop where, you know, because, you know, we'll open up, like I just opened up, what was that, 3? I mean, typically on a day, I may open up, or at least, you know, maybe not me personally, but, you know, the Khepra team, you know, we may go through maybe 50 to 100 coconuts a day. So you talk about 50, opening up 50, or at least maybe, let's say 100 coconuts, cracking them open, taking the meat out. Sometimes we even have to clean the meat. And then, you know, obviously, you know, all of the cleanup and all of the kitchen tasks with it. So a lot involved. Again, like I said, definitely a labor of love, but one that is rewarding. You know, if you can really find it, you know, to make this a part of your life, to really, you know, take your health to the next level, to the highest level in my view, you know, this could be something that could definitely be well worth the effort. So I got about, that's about a cup and a half of fresh coconut meat. And I'm going to, this is a little bit more than a quart. So, no, it's about 1.25 quarts. I'm going to just use all of it, of coconut water. 1.25 quart. 1 quart is, I think 2 pints, that's 32 ounces, I believe. If my math is correct. So you get the picture. But if I want to do a cream, I only add a little bit of water. But if I want to do like a smoothie, I'm going to add all the water. So let's do a smoothie. Yeah, let's add all the water. Alright. Now, I mean, this is perfect just like this. We can just blend and make our coconut milk. And it just be perfect. But I got some other ingredients here. This is one of my favorite fruits. This is durian. Where is this from? It's from Thailand. The durian. You can see that. Can y'all see that? One of my favorite fruits ever. I love the durian. And I buy it like this because you can see. You know, the durian, real close up, you know, you find it in the Asian market, you know, in that spiky shell. And I don't buy it like that anymore because most of the time, they're picked before they're ripe. So the flavor and the smell, because if you know about durian, you know about the smell. So when I buy it like this is ripe durian. I've bought this many times, and it's always ripe. I can smell it right now. That's some of the juice, because this was frozen. So I'm gonna add a piece of durian in there. I love durian. Again, this is a fatty fruit. And you know, we're eating high vibrational fat. You know, when we eat durian, we eat coconut meat, avocado, olives, ackee. You know, these are high vibrational foods. You know, we should have, fat is the most powerful, the most needed nutrient. We need to eat fatty foods, especially on a plant-based diet, but they should be fruits like durian, avocado, olives, ackee, coconut. Jackfruit is another one that comes to mind. Has some fat, not as much as durian has a little bit more fat than the jackfruit. But again, these things are going to nourish us. When we eat fat is soft. It has a comforting effect. And what's wrong with most people's diets is if you're eating a lot of cooked food starches, you're always going to combine, because cooked food starches, those are hard to digest proteins. Those are proteins that will rob the body, that will cause scarring in the body, scarring and mucus, a lot of scarring and mucus. So it's wreaking havoc, bringing internal damage. And it's highly addictive. But what happens when we eat cooked starches is that we always combine it with a fat. We got bread, we want butter. We got a potato, you want cream. You're not gonna eat like starch, bread, flour, pasta with no sauce, with no fat, no oil. And the thing is like so we need oil. We want oil, but we need it in a proper form. So I got fresh coconut meat, fresh durian, or coconut water. If I want to get real jazzy, I got some vanilla extract. So I'm gonna just add a little bit of vanilla, not needed. And I got some sea moss I've soaked here. Just a little bit. I love the sea moss. Again, the minerals. So I'll just throw a couple pieces in there. So I got a good amount of coconut meat, so this is gonna be a thick shake. I mean, I could open up a few more coconuts to give it more water. But again, this is something you can again play around with. Like usually what I do, especially with the durian, is I'll make a cream out of it. Cream with the coconut. Oh, this is one of my favorite spices. Let me add some of that. This is nutmeg. I'm gonna add a little pinch of nutmeg. I don't like to use too much nutmeg. It's a very strong spice. So all you need is a pinch. All right, let's go for it. I'm gonna hand over here. So I'm gonna let it blend for a few minutes. I wanted to really break down the sea moss and the coconut meat. Without doing that, it'll be a little gritty. So I want to really blend it and let it like really work out those little kinks. Because when I drink my smoothie, I want it to be smooth. Not that a little grit, a little chew is nothing wrong with that. But it's just a preference. So I'm gonna let it blend for at least a minute. one of the things I do, especially if I'm blending sea moss, I really like to allow it to go for maybe at least 2 minutes. One of the things that we'll look for, you notice I take the top off, and I know that it's blended long enough. If I start to see a little vapor or smoke, because the Vitamix, you let it run long enough, it'll start to heat up the whatever you're blending. As I say, we all have heard that Vitamix can make soups. So again, we ain't trying to necessarily, while we're trying to work out the kinks, we ain't necessarily trying to overdo it with over blending it, maybe overheating it, even though it's heating it not gently, but it is heating it, and we want to kind of keep it fresh and live as possible. So yeah, y'all want some durian coconut smoothie? Yes, now you're gonna have to enjoy this virtually with me.
Khepra, I'm on my way.
Okay.
Alice is not that far. She can actually come home.
Yes.
That's right, Francisco.
Yeah. So again, bon appetit. Hope y'all gotten something out of this workshop. It's actually perfect. Like it's I guess what I call a vibrational chef. I'm not really one to really measure, or I just kind of eyeball it and feel it and really just intuit in terms of what I like to do. And and if you're doing it long enough, most of the times it should work for you. Maybe in the beginning you have to follow recipes and stick to the measurements until you're able to understand. And I go through that like in my courses when I talk about food and putting together recipes, as Allison knows. So yeah, this is actually just what the doctor ordered. I'll probably put the rest of this in the freezer and chill it a little bit. Even though I enjoy it just like this right now, warm and everything. Really, this is it. One thing I could have also done, I have some dates here. Again, I wasn't feeling the dates, so again, I didn't go with it. But that's when you really, again, that just brings another element into it in terms of really, doing this kind of chefing is like just really just again what you feel versus like following a recipe. But as I said, you need your hand to be held if you're not used to doing it this way, in terms of like, just if you're not used to making food in the kitchen. But once you get, you become more in tune and your vibration is right, you just start to say, these things start to really create themselves. And so, it's something I gotta remember for the next time. Or it being something new next time. So yeah, any questions or anything I missed?
have a question.
Okay.
So I saw that you used the live sea moss versus the gel. Why do you distinguish, or which your preference? Is that your preference, or that's just what you had at the time?
Well, it's just what I had, but they're essentially the same thing. The gel is just that you blend it, you add water and you blend it into a gel.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I actually, it's funny. This is a powder. I actually prefer to use the powder over the gel or the actual moss because I can taste it. A powder is obviously has been processed, but that process, anything that has like this nutmeg or anything that's a spice has been, it's like in a concentrated form. Mm-hmm. So this powder, I've been, I tell people, because I started using this powder really out of necessity. When this whole coronavirus thing first jumped off, sea moss was sold out around the world. And the only way I could get it was in the powder. I was like, well, again, like I said, it's like You know, but that's part of just using what you have and making do with what's available. And a lot of times, what can happen is like you could come up on something better. And I feel like, while I wouldn't say it's better, it's my preference because I feel like it's in a high uh, concentrated form.
Dense,
Well, I'm
very
actually
dense.
right, very dense, very concentrated. Versus like this, and see what people do. You know, not to say that this is not good, but what people do with this, we know what the people do with this, because you got to soak it. Number one, you soak it,
Yep.
and then some people boil it,
Yep.
and then they rinse it, and then they rinse it again. You didn't
Yes.
wash all the minerals. The reason why I got over close to 100 minerals is one of those minerals is in that salt.
Yeah.
You know, you washing all those minerals out. You know, so you know, yeah, all the minerals is right in here. In fact,
Okay.
I'm gonna add a little teaspoon to my little smoothie. Pour this back in. So that's another option, you know, to look at is you know, don't. You know, the powders can be useful. You know, while you know a lot of people like to obviously soak it, and that's great. I'm not saying nothing against that, but you know the powder is very very useful. I mean, we're doing the sea moss for the minerals. It's got all the minerals for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Just a comment. I live in the Washington D.C. area, so I've gotten a chance to try some of your products. I've done the 3-day and the 5-day cleanse, and the coconut water was my favorite part of the entire cleanse. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, you know, mentioning the fasting. I mean, that's probably a good thing to really come to a close. Is you know, just I can't overstate the importance of you know understanding the importance of not eating and really allowing the body to process food that is there from since we started eating, or from last week, or from 2-3 days ago. You know, we eat improper foods, and we eat them more than we should, and it creates a double dilemma because the body has a function where it will save everything we eat, or save some portion of it for a rainy day, or for a day that there's maybe there happens to be a famine, or there happens to be a time where we can't get food, and so the body uses that storage to have almost a backup plan. And the thing is like even eating all raw food, the body does that, and so it's almost like it's our duty to ourselves. If we really want optimal health, we really have to incorporate fasting, incorporating that. I mean, we all know the importance of sleep. Okay, sleep revitalizes, regenerates, all of these wonderful, beautiful things. But we have to provide that additional rest for our digestive organs. Our digestive system is our health. Our digestive firepower there's a direct correlation between our digestion and our health and vitality. And if we're constantly overworking or having our body being overworked, being overtaxed, never having a break, never having a rest, we're going to basically undo the whole system. And, you know, as I was saying earlier today, I know this is not, you know, but given the nature of the time that we're in, you know, I said to someone, I've been saying to a few people this week, can you catch diabetes from someone? No. Can you catch cancer from someone? No. Can you catch heart disease from someone? No. So we should not believe that we can catch things like the flu or cold from someone either. We develop these sicknesses within our own bodies, because our bodies, when we have a cold or a flu, the body, that is the cure for toxicity. The body is effectively managing waste. When we have respiratory issues, when we have congestion, mucus, the body is getting rid of waste at a high efficient rate. And the worst thing we could do is continue to eat, because a lot of times when we get those things, we lose our appetite. And that is the point, because we need to get out of the body's way, allow it to do what it's designed to do. We don't catch these things out of the thin blue sky. These things evolve and develop, and they don't evolve and develop overnight. Just like health is not something we can just catch. Sickness is not something we can just catch either. It's a lot of little things. Radiation, bad food, bad thinking, not exercising. All of these things contribute. And then when we fall ill, we get weak, we should not blame it on the germ. Take responsibility. Say, what did I eat last week? What did I eat last year? What did I eat today? I need to fast. I need to allow the body, I need to get into this self-healing. And it always takes, and I always encourage people, if you're going to do a fast, the sister mentioned the 3-day and the 5-day, always go beyond 3 days if you're going to do a longer fast. Why? Because it takes the body about 3 days for it to flip a switch. And that switch happens when the intestines empty out and the body flips to that alternative fuel source. All of those toxins, all of those reserves that the body holds on to every time you eat something. The body says, okay, I'm gonna just tuck this here. I'm gonna tuck this there. Just in case, you know, we don't have any food. Now I'm gonna use that as fuel. But that usually happens by the 4th day. And by that 4th day, you feel this energy, you feel this rushness, you feel this high. And it's like, wow, all this from me taking a break from food. I feel better than I've ever felt ever in my life. And I'm not doing the thing that brings me daily pleasure, which is eating. So I think that is a fitting summary to all of this. And again, I hope y'all enjoy. Any more questions? I think it's good to close it there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My social media, I'm on Instagram, Chef Khepra. I'm on Facebook, and you can go to my website, Khepra'sRawFoodJuiceBar.com. My email, I have a YouTube channel with Francisco's permission. I did record this, if it's okay with him, if I could share this on my YouTube channel. Is that okay? I'm putting you on the spot. Or is that not okay?
Yeah, we're gonna put it on the Synergy YouTube as well. I mean, the more good information gets out there, the better, you know.
Okay, I have your blessing.
I did have a question more regarding like the coconuts, like, you know, because I just hear so many things, and there's so many, you know, regarding like how to, like, there's like the hybrid coconut, and are they soaked in chemicals? I've heard that they're soaked in it, you know. So, you know, I just wonder, I mean, since you've gotten pretty deep into this, I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, that's the other problem. I don't do the Thai coconuts.
Gotcha.
Because
it's tough for people to know, kind of like, you know, because watching you make this, like, I don't know about that, like everyone else, but it makes me want to go. I got my machete upstairs, you know, so it makes some coconut.
Okay. Yeah. I don't like the Thai coconuts.
Okay.
You know, they'll even call them organic. I'm like these are not, you know, and that's why I think the whole term organic is overrated. These are not certified organic. But again, like I said, I'm comparing this to what I've had all over the world, and
Okay.
this fits the bill. So so ideally, you want your coconut to be in this form, in this green shell. This is a protective skin. You know,
Yeah.
those Thai coconuts, they shave them down, and they partly do that to have them fit neatly in the box, but it's exposed, and again, they're probably dipped in chemicals.
Yeah.
So yes, that's going to affect the fruit, the nut.
Gotcha. So get the whole one with the green green
Yeah.
husk.
Ideally, if you can get it with the green and it, with everything intact, the way nature produced it for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Share it for sure. We'll be sharing it as well. Thank you so much for taking the time, Khepra. Really
All right,
appreciate you, man. And,
all right. Thank you.
I look forward to having you for you to return another time, do another workshop in the future. So
Okay,
thank you so much.
okay.
So,
No, I want to thank you. You know, to be honest, I was a little bit, I had my reservation, just because, again, I know the nature of what our world and society is dealing with, and in terms of, and this has become the platform of convenience. Obviously, I would have loved to have been able to share this with you, and you be actually 5 feet, 10 feet away from me. But it is what it is. We do what we can. This may open the door for me to even do something like this in the future, you know, with my own platform. So, but again, I mean, without that, you know, without you inviting me, I want to thank you again for having me come on here and share what I do. Again, I've listed all my, how you can reach me. If you have any other anything else you want to you know, reach me for, you know, you can find me. So, but thank you.
thank you so much, brother. And keep it going. Tomorrow morning we have, vinyasa class in the morning, and we're going with our weekly schedule. But this is the last workshop of our rising, and we're gonna rise again. We're thinking to rise like in a couple of months, maybe bring it back. We had a beautiful circle of elders today, from Hawaii to Renee and Okobriki Institute in Ghana. So it's just really inspiring to keep carrying these lessons on. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone, and thank you again, Khepra.
All right, peace.
Thank you so much, bro. It's Dante. Thank you so much, so much.
Thank you so much, Francisco. Wonderful rising retreat. Thank you again.
Much love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job,
Amazing.
Khepra.
All right, thank you.
Khepra, I'll be
Come out,
over.
bro.
All
I'm
right,
on my way.
I'm gonna see you soon.
All right.